And this episode was brought to you by DRAFTKINGS Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbooking app. Not only is it safe, Deke, but it is secure and reliable.
Always a great thing.
No question. And for all the first-time users out there, if you use the promo code MOATS, you will receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. So, Deke, you like free money, right?
Who doesn't?
You also like the opportunity to win more money, correct?
Especially when it involves sports.
So, what are they waiting on? Download the app, use the promo code, and you get that. You get that opportunity to make some more money, baby. So literally, stop wasting time. Download the app, use the promo code, and get that opportunity, baby. Yesterday was the start of the 2021 NHL season, and the Pittsburgh Penguins were the first game of the season. Opening night, they had the first game, the 5:30 matchup against, their cross-state rivals, the Philadelphia Flyers, and obviously they dropped it 6-3. But man, initially I was excited, man. I was hyped up. They had the storylines going. I mean, and funny thing was very similar storylines to them as the Steelers in terms of, all right, does this core group, is it time to move on from them? Has their window officially left? Is it a coaching issue as well? I mean, there's a lot of questions surrounding them. And then obviously they brought a large majority of those guys back this year. And then that first game happened. And sure enough, in true Pittsburgh fan fashion, I went to Twitter and I said, oh yeah, this is full carryover from the Steelers right here, man. They already jumped ship. Condensed season, 56 games. It's, oh Lord, it's over. It's over. We done lost the first one. It's done. I was like, man, this is what happens though when the Steelers do bad, man. When the Steelers don't live up to the expectation, it carries over. It definitely does, man.
Well, my excitement for this is weird because...
And shout out to the hat too. I peep you pulling up.
Yeah. I grabbed a couple new hats yesterday. I got some new pirate ones, so you'll see those on the show a couple times coming up here. But yeah, and I saw this. I'm like, damn, this is kind of nice.
This is kind of nice. It's clean.
I really don't watch the Pens, and this is why my excitement was weird because I was like, you know what? Let's watch this. Let's see what happens because I remember last year. I think the only Penguin game I watched was it game 4 or 5 where they lost out of the playoffs. And just over the course of the last maybe 6-7 years, I've barely watched any hockey. Maybe some of the playoffs, maybe some of those Stanley Cup runs. But outside of that, really nothing. So I'm like, all right, first game, maybe I'll watch. Maybe I'll get into it. I just bought the hat. So we'll see. So I started watching it, and things are going good. For the most part, I mean, it's a close game. Then we go up 3-2, and then it was just a disaster after that. And what's interesting though is I did only watch that one game last year. It was the last game, and I remember us talking about it beforehand and afterwards because before we were almost previewing the game, and I was asking you a lot of questions, and you were like, "Oh man, they're really rough on defense. Their goalie's been like
special
in and
teams
out.
Has been inconsistent as well in terms of their power plays, whether they have the advantage on the power play or if they are, the shorthanded party. Their special teams has struggled these past couple of years. And I mean, you look at the first 2 goals that they allowed, it was off of those plays as well. So those issues have still carried over. And then also with the goalie play with Tristan Jarry, obviously this offseason, the big decision making was going to be between Jarry and Matt Murray, right? Matt Murray obviously won a Stanley Cup here, but he had a similar scenario where he came in for Andre Fleury, right? And took over for him.
And went off.
Yeah, and he did. But then it caught up to him where Jarry was coming in and taking over for Murray. So this offseason, they made the decision. They allowed Murray to leave. Obviously, he signed with the Senators. And now from there, Jarry was the guy going forward. Now, I still wasn't 100% backing that decision because to me, when I see a guy that
just less money, probably,
right.
Huh? Is that what it is?
And the thing was this: not only from a money standpoint, but when I just think of the offseason, right? Their offseason was very, very short, similar to NBA in terms of they pretty much finished a month ago and they're already back. So less than a month ago, right? You weren't confident in Jarry being your goalie in the playoffs. They want Matt Murray during the playoffs. So to see them complete 180 and say, okay, Jarry, even though you were all-star last year, you played really well in the first half of the season. The second half, he struggled, was inconsistent, which is why they kept going back and forth with him and Murray. And neither one of them could put together a span of successful games. It looked like Murray was going to be a little bit better, but then that faltered come playoff times. So when I think about all of that, for them to have made the decision that, hey, now you're definitely the guy 100%, I'm not completely confident in that. Now, granted, yesterday, the goals that he did allow, they weren't all his fault, right? Obviously,
some of them were bad.
Some of them were bad. But to me, I'm like, just because your defensemen might not have done their job, I look at it as the equivalent of Minkah Fitzpatrick at safety, right? Just because this linebacker missed a tackle, yes, it's hard for you to make a one-on-one open field tackle. But it's not against the rules for you to make a one-on-one open field tackle. In fact, you've done it so much that we expect you to make those tackles, right? We're not saying that you're going to make it every time, but I at least expect you to make it more times than not.
That's a good comparison. He was in bad spots, but it was like, man, you could have really saved
made that. Right. And to me, that was the biggest issue when I was watching it yesterday. I'm like, the defense, you're still a little questionable, obviously dating back to last year. We expected that. But some of the goals that he allowed, that to me was the alarming part. And you don't have the luxury of alternating him and Murray anymore. You have to ride with him now. So that was my biggest issue with it. Now, I know some people are going to also ask if Sullivan is still the guy, right? Because we've seen them in the past, 10 years make the switch mid-season before twice now. So this could be another scenario where they could look to do something like that if this were to continue. Because not saying that Sullivan isn't a good coach, but we always hear them talk about, man, has the team, grown tired of his leadership? Right. Can he still connect with those guys? I feel like football, when we say lost the locker room, it always has a negative connotation. Whereas with hockey, they just say the guys aren't really listening to him anymore.
And from some of the intel I was gathering for this too, some of the people that I know that watch hockey a lot more than me these days, they were saying there's just the turnover with coaches in hockey. That's almost like a normal thing.
Yeah, correct.
If he gets fired midseason, it's almost like
it's
expected.
Normal. Yeah.
Sure, maybe this is our best chance to win.
But we saw it work with obviously work with Sullivan, and then what was it, Bousman before it worked with him,
Terry, and whenever they brought in Bousman,
they've done it 2 times already, and now they're looking at potentially this could happen again. So yeah, man.
Well, that was the weird thing, man. Whenever I was watching that game, I was so surprised with all the stuff you were saying that was going wrong with the Penguins, because I hadn't watched it in how long and stuff. We have Crosby, Malkin, we have like a lot of good names on offense. I'm like, there's no way we're gonna lose this series against Montreal,
bro.
And then I watched the game. I'm like, wow, they completely got dominated. They didn't deserve to win that. And then watching this game, I saw some of the same issues pop up. Man. And I think that's what a lot of people have been frustrated or are frustrated just based off this one game, and probably why everyone's going off. It's like nothing's really changed, I guess.
And like you said, because in Pittsburgh, we know not only are we diehard Steelers fans, but a lot of people are diehard Pens fans as well. You can't go from bad Steelers to now it looks like you're going to have bad Pens initially. Yeah, people are ready to lose their mind right here because they're too talented, man. When you talk about these names that we just listed off, they have more than enough talent. It doesn't seem like the
offense will be the issue.
Correct. I mean, it shouldn't be, but just like in football, it's you have to be good in all phases. You have to have guys that can come in here and do what they're supposed to do, whether they're scoring, whether they're defensemen, whether they're goalies, whatever it is. You got to make sure that you come in here and do your job, and not just the first line, the second line and third line as well. So that's what we're trying to see right now from the Pens. But the beauty of the NHL is this. We don't have to wait a week to see if they can get it right.
Tomorrow, right?
We got action tomorrow. You know what?
They're doing it. Aren't they doing it different this time? So, are they doing like 1-in-1 series?
Yeah, so from my understanding, it's going to be a lot of the 1-in-1s and shorter series because remember, it's only 56 games compared to the traditional 82. And then they also did a division realignment as well. So you're not going to have your same leagues of Metropolitan, Eastern, and all these other things. It's literally, I want to say it's Eastern, and I think it's, what do they call it? Oh, my goodness. I'm drawing a blank on the name, but it's not just your traditional like Western, but it's like the Canadian League where literally all the Canadian teams are in one side of it as well. So it's different. It's different in terms of how they're doing it, but obviously it's in reaction to COVID and things like that, trying to just figure out the best way to go about doing this because now bubbles and hub cities is a little bit different when you're talking about 56 games or you're talking about a full season and things like that. But it's going to be interesting to follow, man.
Is Fleury still in the league?
Yeah, man. He's out in in Vegas? Yeah. And they're actually one of the they actually have Vegas has them with the best odds to win the Stanley Cup this year as well, man.
Wow. I was going to say, Penn's hot topic. Trade for Fleury back, the return.
Oh, the return?
Well, dude, that's not going to happen if they're one of the top teams and they're favored to win the Cup. There's no way they would get Fleury up because he's been playing good, right?
No, he has, man. He definitely has.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just disappointing, dude.
It happens like that.
What's the over-under on how many games I watched throughout the season? There's 50-something?
Oh, man.
Will I keep this up? Because the Pirates, I completely failed.
Yeah.
Penguins, Penguins last year, I didn't make any proclamations that I was going to watch the Penguins. All I did was watch the last game.
It's 56 games. I'll set the over under at 15.
15? Wow, that might be too high, honestly.
And that's why I was gonna say under.
I think 6 is probably a good number.
Because like for me, like I already told you, like I'm watching. I have to watch these because the other radio shows I do is more than just Steelers. They want to talk hockey. They want to talk power. So I have to know these things. But yeah, for you, I give you a strong 15. And that's like 15, but you got to think these are going to be some of the premier matchups. Like yesterday was big because it was the opening game, right? It was, you get those feelings of, man, all right, it's the first one. You saw the pomp and circumstance before the game as well. Oh man, even the referee was speaking before the puck drop. I'm like, when does the referee talk before a puck drop? I've never seen this. All right, gentlemen, starting the 2021 season. Make sure everybody's good. Long live America. I love you. Be great. All right, now let's play. I'm like, man, wait, I've never heard a referee talk before like this. What is going on? Is this Ed Hockey League? What's going on here? But because it's opening night, it was a big deal. So obviously, whenever they do have other big matches, we're going to talk about this a lot more, man. Because in Pittsburgh, man,
I was going to say, I'll tune. Like if that's what people want to hear, I'm going to tune in. I'll tune in. And that's the thing,
man. Y'all let us know, man. If y'all want to hear more Pens talk, we could definitely do this because, like I said, we're tuned in, baby.